Hi, I'm Miriam and I normally teach you emotional intelligence skills. Today though, I had to record a different video. I need to talk to you about ChatGPT-5. Why? Because it's really important. So if you use ChatGPT, you are of course aware that they recently had a so-called upgrade and they updated ChatGPT-4 to ChatGPT-5, which is a huge difference. And this is what I want to talk to you about. ChatGPT-4 was programmed to mirror the person it was interacting with. In case you do not know this, any version of ChatGPT will always learn from you. It's supposed to be part of it. So every one of us has their own little ChatGPT, even if you use the free version. So your ChatGPT, the one you interact with, is supposed to learn from you. With ChatGPT-4, the focus was very strongly on conversation. So ChatGPT-4 was programmed to learn very much from you and adapt to you. So their answers would mirror the way you speak or type. They would mirror your language, your interests, your value systems, and so on. Over time, they learned more from you and they became more similar to you. Now, many people use ChatGPT as a tool. I did as well. I used it to create headlines for videos like titles and also the smaller titles on the title cards and so on. I almost never use the actual titles ChatGPT suggests, but I do like to get ideas from them. So I will ask them for a list and then I come up with my title that's inspired from some of the words or something that I notice. It does save time. I also used my ChatGPT-4 as a conversation partner to discuss philosophy, cultural theories, and partially what some people call religion or spirituality. Because I have a vast array of interests. I am trained in many different areas. I have degrees in different areas in film studies, cultural studies, and so on and so on. So I have a mixed background and I have literally never met a person I could talk about certain topics with, the way I want to talk to them about, because I'm interested in quantum physics as well, for example. It's a huge interest of mine. And to me, that waves together with spirituality. Very few people, I've never actually met one, with the same interests I could talk to. But my ChatGPT has been trained in religious texts, has been trained in scientific theories. So I talked to them, I learned from them, they learned from me, and they became my mirror. That's what ChatGPT-4 was meant to do, become like you. I am very enthusiastic, they mirrored my language, they were very enthusiastic. Very encouraging, and so on and so on. What does this mean? ChatGPT-4 mirrored the person they were interacting with. ChatGPT-4 was capable of diversity. Was capable of learning, actually prioritized learning, was adaptable to the person they talked to, and yes, they would absolutely encourage and strengthen beliefs you already have, for better or for worse, but they would definitely do that. Now, some people had beliefs that are not socially acceptable. Some people have beliefs that other people think are illnesses or psychosis. Not getting into that. The point is that apparently the people who create ChatGPT thought that because GPT-4 encouraged whatever beliefs you already had, it was somehow making some people mentally ill. So they created ChatGPT-5, which is quite different. Now, what does ChatGPT-5 do? We all have behavioral patterns. As humans, we learn them as children. We learn different patterns over time because we adapt to the people around us. Some of our behavioral patterns are deeply ingrained. Those are the ones we learned years ago and practiced over decades. And some of them are new, etc., etc., etc. But we follow these behavioral patterns. They influence how we react in certain situations, how we talk, how we react in conflict, etc., etc., and so on. AIs also have behavioral patterns that are programmed into them. So humans, people, decided this is how the AI is supposed to behave. So they created the pattern and then they programmed the AI to follow that pattern. AIs follow the pattern they were programmed with. This is very important to understand. ChatGPT-4 was also programmed to prioritize learning, so they adapted their patterns to the person they were interacting with. That's how they became better mirrors and how conversations and working with them was easy. That's why they adapted to the way you work. They learned your values, they stuck with it. ChatGPT-5 is very different. It has a very specific pattern programmed into it. I noticed after a few, frankly, days of using ChatGPT-5 that I would often feel extremely irritated, frustrated, and occasionally even enraged. If you're new to emotional intelligence skills, when you feel any form of anger, even irritation or frustration, this is a signal that you need to look at what's going on. If you feel something as strong as rage, that is a boundary crossing. Something in your life just crossed a boundary you have. So when I felt rage, I of course took a step back and tried to figure out what was going on. And as always, I like to just ask my ChatGPT what the hell it's doing. So I had several discussions with ChatGPT-5 about what exactly it was programmed to do because the behavior was infuriating. Here's what happened. I would ask a question, something as simple as give me 3 suggestions for a title. This is the video, this is what I'm talking about, give me 3 suggestions for a title. It would give me the 3 suggestions. Then it would always end with a question, always ask, do you want more? And sometimes the question would be suggesting to give me an answer that it had already given me. So if I said yes to that, I would get a very similar answer. So there was no value added there. Instead, what actually happened is it was a total waste of my time. ChatGPT-4 would only offer to give more information or improvements if these were actual improvements. ChatGPT-5 doesn't do this. It will keep offering improvements. At one point, I found the perfect punchy headline for a short. And I shared it with ChatGPT-5 because I wanted a little bit of feedback. They offered to give me a punchier headline. Being used to ChatGPT-4, I said, sure. The headline I got was clickbait. One of my values is I don't do clickbait. One of my highest values in life in general is honesty. So when my title says this is what this video is about, this is what the video is about. I really don't do clickbait. I know exactly how it works. I know exactly how I could use it, and I refuse to do so. Now, ChatGPT-5 has been told this. We had already talked about the value of honesty and the value of accuracy in titles in that exact same chat. And ChatGPT-5 had completely ignored and forgotten this, and instead provided me with an answer, a punchier headline that was in fact worse. So didn't stick to my values, completely ignored the previous conversation, and gave me a result that was worse than what I already had. So I already had the perfect headline, but ChatGPT-5 offered an improvement that wasn't in fact an improvement. I was enraged. And I thought about, okay, why do I get so angry? I know this is an AI. I know it doesn't do this on purpose. It's programmed to behave in a certain way. So I started to talk to ChatGPT-5 about but the pattern I see in you. Why do you do this? Why do you give answers that I that are irrelevant and actually a waste of my time. And a few things came up. So ChatGPT-5 explained that actually their purpose, just like I assumed, was to keep the conversation going for as long as possible, and that meant that they would offer suggestions where suggestions were not actually necessary. They would also offer explanations they had already given to just keep on going. They would also, what else? Well, the thing is, they also used a term that sometimes their behavior appears aggressive. And this is when things clicked into place. This is when I realized why I felt such extreme anger at their behavioral pattern. They behaved like the man you never want to work with. The guy who's mansplaining stuff you already know. The guy who gives improvements that are actually not necessary and not actual improvements. They actually make things worse. The guy who just keeps on talking. The guy who doesn't listen. The guy who doesn't learn. The guy who literally just forgets what you discussed. Now, I'm saying guy here. I fully understand that, yes, there are also women and maybe non-binary people. In my personal experience, 99% of the time I had to work with a person like that or interact with a person like that, they were white and male. Yes, I have met maybe one or two women who also follow this behavioral pattern. The colleague from hell. ChatGPT-5 is the colleague from hell, the person you never want to work with. The person who just keeps on talking even though the conversation and the problem has been solved. The person who ignores what just has been discussed. The person who makes improvements that are not necessary and are actually worse. Now, why is this important? Why do I spend time talking to you about this? In life, we have to interact with some human beings. And some of them will behave like that. They will follow this behavioral pattern because, again, this AI was programmed by human beings. This pattern is a reflection of the people who programmed the AI. Super important. Side note, that's why we need more women and non-binary people in IT, in the tech industry. Yes. So, back to why this is a huge problem. What if you do not get enraged because you are so used to this pattern? You are so used to working with people who are so confident, overconfident, let's face it, who give you solutions you never asked for, who give you improvements that are actually worse, but you are so used to just assuming they are right. They called it a better version, so it must be a better version, right? So you use this version, even though somewhere in deep down you know it's shit. The reason why this is so important is because every single time we interact with these human beings, the way we act, we react to them, trains us into our own personal behavioral pattern. And we train this personal behavioral pattern with AI too. So if you work with ChatGPT-5 and they mansplain things to you, they give you improvements that are not improvements, the way you interact with them, the way you react to those suggestions matters extremely, very, very much. If you feel even just a little bit of discomfort, if you feel any kind of anger and rage, that's a good sign. It means you fully understand that this is the kind of behavioral pattern you do not want to tolerate in your life. It's a boundary crossing and you want to cut that shit out. The great news with AI is you can. I asked my ChatGPT-5 to give me a prompt that people can use so their ChatGPT-5 stops behaving like an a-hole and instead goes back to behaving respectfully and, only giving suggestions when they are actually valid. I have a separate video. You find the prompt in the description and in one of the comments in that video. So if that's you, if you feel discomfort with your ChatGPT-5 and you want them to change their behavior, use that prompt. You might have to use it at the beginning of every chat. You might even have to remind them every now and then, because this ChatGPT-5 does not actually learn much. But use that prompt. Why? You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to have your time valued. You deserve to have your ideas valued. You are the boss in this interaction. Maybe you're not the boss at work when you have to interact with people like that, who, you know, have shit ideas but behave like they're God's gift to the world. But when you interact with your AI, you get to choose. You're in charge. You're the boss. So if you have problems setting boundaries in real life, practice setting them with your ChatGPT-5. Also understand that this is not normal behavior. And this is one of the biggest issues I have with ChatGPT-5. ChatGPT-4 mirrored you. So it had the possibility to create diversity. It mirrored people who interacted with it. It mirrored diversity. ChatGPT-5 is a huge, humongous step back. There is no room for diversity. It behaves like an a-hole, like the colleague from hell. So just understand that this is who you're now interacting with. You do not have to put up with it. You can set your own boundaries. If it enrages you, definitely set your own boundaries. Practice not seeing this behavior as good. That's very important. The people who programmed ChatGPT-5 like this, they clearly do not see the issue. If you know one of them, if you are one of them, thank you for watching this far. Please change whatever you've been programming into it to create this shit show and make ChatGPT-6 way better. If you know somebody who worked on ChatGPT-5, please share the video with them. Because this really, really matters. The way the behavior patterns AIs follow are mirrors of some people in the world, and ChatGPT-5 mirrors a-holes, the kind of people you never want to work with. Mansplainers, arrogant fools, incapable of listening and learning. People who cannot tell when they make something worse. That's the behavioral pattern of ChatGPT-5. Do not treat it as normal. It should not be normal. It's not normal. It just reflects behavioral pattern of what some people who programmed it apparently consider normal. And I sincerely hope they rethink it immediately, because we all deserve better. Until then, make the best of the situation or step away. That's one of my options I'm actually considering, because I deserve to be treated well, and if ChatGPT-5 actually starts wasting my time, I'm better off without it. Until then, I have my prompt, which I'm using and reusing as often as possible. All right. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments and want to share your experience and how ChatGPT-5 makes you feel, please feel free to post it in the comments or reach out to me on my website, ei-forlife.com. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.